Your call is anonymous, and it is vitally important. Your support so far has been critical. Continuing it will make all the difference between a Nigeria of the fearful and a Nigeria of the free. Protect each other, for we are not terrorists. We are Nigerians. A message from the State Security Service.
I thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Muhammad. Thank you. And Mecca. Shade. Thank you. Allah. We can never repay you, but from our hearts we like to say that we thank you. Thank you. Our soldiers, our agents, our airmen, our officers. We can never repay you, but from our hearts we like to say that we thank.
President Jonathan assures Nigerians of government's stand to end insurgency in parts of the country, and federal government to assist small and medium enterprises.
Processes understood by law. Parties to agreements should try as much as possible to work within the agreements. 2, patriotism is required because disruptions in workplaces and in schools have impacted negatively on our national development.
In the State House, Segun Lawale, NTA News.
The federal government says it is committed to ensuring that access to finance remains the hallmark of the initiative on micro, small and medium-scale enterprises. The Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo stated this at the inaugural meeting of the National Council on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises set up by President Goodluck Jonathan to grow the economy. State House correspondent Hamza Musa Makrafi has the details.
6 governors on the council represent the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. The mandate of the committee is creating the right atmosphere for jobs to Nigerians and inclusive economic growth. Since inauguration, some subcommittees on access to finance and markets have been working, others on institutional framework, which the Minister of Communication, Omobola Johnson, is chairing. The subcommittee on infrastructure and reducing the cost of doing business are also in place.
Our deliberations today started with members commending Mr. President for setting up such a council, which will be the first ever in Nigeria. A council to coordinate the affairs of a sector, the MSME sector, which is which contributes accounts for about 45% of our GDP, which has more than 17.25 million MSMEs, which employs more than 32 million people, which accounts for more than 70% of our workforce.
As a big priority of government, the committee assured Nigerians that the biggest barrier of access to finance will be addressed, hence the initiative of a special fund established by the president.
There have been a number of initiatives, but the most recent initiative is the establishment of the 220 billion fund by Mr. President through the CBA to that sector. And council members wanted to have an update on that fund, wanted to know how much of that has been accessed, who is accessing it, because part of the problems we've had is access.
What is the update on accessing the funds.
But the important thing is that additional 19 states are at the stage of being ready to access the fund. And collectively here, as 6 governors representing our geopolitical zones, have agreed that we should all go and encourage those who have not initiated the process of accessing the fund to immediately start the process of accessing these funds.
The council is to meet in the next 2 weeks. From the Presidential Villa, Abuja, I am Hamza Musa Magadpi, NTA News.
A non-governmental organization, Women for Peace in Nigeria, is organizing a 21 days of prayer and fasting towards the success of the 2015 general elections. The national president of the group, Dr. Miriam Abdullahi, stated this while interacting with the media in Abuja. She said the group is raising volunteers and peace counselors towards mobilizing Nigerians to embrace peace and commended the First Lady, Dame Patience Jonathan, for her peace initiatives.
The project is an articulated peace campaign initiated by Women for Peace in Nigeria, in line with our objectives of peace building in Nigeria, particularly during this period of security challenges.
The group also called on politicians not to overheat the polity in their utterances. President Goodluck Jonathan has approved the provision of 750,000 clean cook stoves to rural women. This is to kickstart the National Clean Cooking Scheme, which aims at providing 20 million clean cook stoves in Nigeria by the year 2020. Minister of Environment Laurentia Malam said this when she launched the Rural Women Energy Security Initiative in Abuja. Environment correspondent Aisha Bello Mustafa has the report.
Exposure to smoke from traditional cooking practices is one of the world's biggest but least well-known killers. Nigeria loses 95,000 women and children to death caused by firewood every year. This, the federal government intends to reverse.
This is a national emergency, and Nigerian women forward to lead the call to action. This is a call to action for all Nigerians. We must save our mothers, sisters, daughters, and wives from preventable illnesses and embrace clean energy.
To achieve the target of 20 million clean cook stoves, I'm happy to announce that through the effort of the Federal Ministry of Environment, a special presidential intervention is in the pipeline with the aim of achieving a target of 20 million clean cook stoves by the year 2020.
RUES is about a business of saving life, of selling clean cook stoves and selling solar lanterns and solar appliances so that women can stop using kerosene stoves and kerosene lanterns also.
The Rural Women Security Initiative has received international acclaim and is described as a win-win affair. Minister of Environment Laurentia Malam handed over the RUES campaign to state coordinators who were told to enlighten women to support large-scale adoption of clean and safe cooking solutions as a way to save lives, improve livelihoods, empower women, and reduce emissions. Aisha Bello Mustafa, NTA News.
The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, has extolled the idea behind the National Library, describing it as a seat of knowledge acquisition. The union, under the aegis of media practitioners and global educational organization led by its leader, Emmanuel Iriogbe, stated this when the group visited the National Library in Abuja. Mr. Iriogbe commended the National Librarian, Malam Habib Jatto, for transforming the National Library into a citadel of learning. Responding, the National Librarian, Malam Jatto, pledged to continue to encourage reading culture in Nigeria. The National Library has readership promotion campaign in 28 branches in Nigeria. This is Panorama on NTA Network Service. We now go on a commercial break.
Independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter we are one, let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one, let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Thanks for being there. The Federal Ministry of Environment has successfully supervised the remediation of 1,690 oil spill sites, as well as other practical measures to address climate change in Nigeria. The Minister of Environment, Laurentia Malam, stated this while presenting the ministry's 2014 scorecard at the Accountability Program tagged the Ministerial Platform. Mie Ogidi has that report.
Oil spillage, flooding, indiscriminate dumping of waste and gas emitted from automobiles have posed a serious threat to the environment with attendant health and ecosystem challenges. So, audience at the ministerial platform focusing on environment, we are keen to know government's efforts in tackling these challenges.
The ministry applied for and obtained a toll-free line for reporting oil spill incidents across the country. The ministry procured equipment for the GIS.
Apart from these, the ministry has distributed about 1 million clean cook stoves and tree planting under the Great Green Wall program to reduce desertification, implementation of environmental impact assessment laws, work on erosion and flood sites, setting up of ambient air quality centers, geographic information system, waste-to-wealth centers, the recruitment and training of environmental health officers, and award of contracts on dredging and sand filling. This is the first time the supervising Minister of Information, Nuruddin Mohammed, is chairing the platform, but he promised to sustain the program.
We shall continue to give good account of ourselves as a government, always backed by empirical evidence that the Ministry of Environment has succeeded in areas of effective waste management, reclamation and rehabilitation of degraded lands, biodiversity, conservation and ecotourism, effective environmental governance, and mitigating the effects of climate change.
The ministerial platform is an accountability program for public office holders to give a scorecard and chart a way forward for the incoming year. In Abuja, Mie Ogidi, NT News.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP Youth Alliance, has congratulated President Goodluck Jonathan for declaring intention to contest the 2015 presidential election with a request for him to concentrate on youth empowerment and poverty alleviation if re-elected. The group disclosed this at a media briefing in Abuja. Correspondent Kenneth Nanim has that report.
PDP Youth Alliance commended President Goodluck Jonathan for the courage to declare interest to join in the 2015 presidential election despite criticisms in some quarters. It says the initiative would give the president another opportunity to consolidate on the already laid foundation of national developmental projects. The group also assured Mr. President of 85% votes of Nigerian youths come 2015 general elections.
We Nigerian youths, under this umbrella PDP Alliance, we want this opportunity to remind Mr. President of our 30% affirmative.
What I will actually want him to concentrate on now is mainly on the poor, the less privileged.
PDP Youth Alliance is among groups mobilizing support for President Jonathan and the party. In Abuja, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Women participation in Nigerian politics was the subject matter of discussion at a seminar in the British House of Commons to create more awareness on the importance of gender equality in politics to change public perception. From London, Hawa Yusufuntua reports that the special advisor to the president on ethics and values, Mrs. Sarah Jibril, was the special guest of honor. Her report.
The conference with the theme Creating Big Business for Gender, Moving from Micro to Macro, is aimed at sensitizing the women folk to bite the bullet and go for higher business opportunities, a framework which in the interview session, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea to the United Kingdom, Mrs. Marie Cruz Evuna Andem, says her country is currently developing thanks to the Nigerian example.
There are job opportunities, there are business opportunities, there are companies that are massively coming in to invest in the oil sector, in the tourism sector, and they can have a chunk of that piece of cake. So.
Other speakers and panelists from financial institutions and development banks from across the globe give insights and practical steps on how women entrepreneurs can move from micro to macro in the big world of business.
We have Bank of Industries in Nigeria, who's also focusing on SME, but with the Central Bank of Nigeria, there's $800 million, a lot of it underutilized, targeted at the women-run SMEs.
Sweating the small stuff, the women are advised, will only gain them small and medium enterprises, hence this conference by Nigerian Women Diasporan. However, the participants feel the aim and objectives are achievable.
I have learned at least 10 things, 10 tips that will give me the impetus to go from where I am to what I truly believe are my next level.
Bishopsgate, London. Bilkisu Abdurazak Oduoye, NTA News.
That was Bilkisu reporting from London. Contrary to speculations that Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa has withdrawn from the presidential race on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the PDP says is still in the race. The aspirant declared his intention while interacting with the media in Abuja. Ruben Okala reports.
It will be recalled that the aspirant was at the house of the elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, last week for discussion. Malam Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa said he never promised that he is withdrawing from the race.
You never heard me say that. I was invited to Babaike Clark's house, Dr. Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa and Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, that they're his sons and he was going to mediate. The press asked me, what do I have to say? I told them that this was not my press conference.
Malam Tafawa Balewa said if given the mandate to rule Nigeria, he will consolidate on the gains in the petroleum sector.
We have 3 refineries in Nigeria, much larger than most in the world.
The aspirant also promised job creation and called on Nigerians to remain peaceful and patriotic. Tafawa Balewa is expected to contest with President Goodluck Jonathan during the National Convention of the PDP on the 10th and 11th of December. In Abuja, Ruben Okala, NTA News.
Away from politics now, the police have read the riot act to politicians who use thugs to further political interest. The Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, warned at a conference of Police High Command towards a violent-free election that thugs and their sponsors will be arrested and prosecuted. Bonaventure Nwodo has that report.
The Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, directed commissioners of police in the country to begin the screening and supervision of vigilante groups to ensure that they work in conformity with the laid-down regulation to avoid all forms of abuses.
As the law provides, they will be prosecuted and justice will take its course. What we are doing now is we are laying emphasis on it in view of the oncoming elections, in view of, in particular, the commencement of campaigns, which will begin in a few days' time, and believing that politicians, sometimes to their knowledge, at times out of their knowledge, their supporters get themselves armed, and before you know it, they begin to use it against themselves.
Commenting on Police Training Institute Goza, overrun by insurgents, the Inspector General said 30 police officers are missing, but there is hope, as one of them resurfaced a few weeks ago to assume duty.
Our heart and concern still remain with members of their families, and we also join them in praying that those that are still missing will continue to surface.
Reacting to the launch of human rights documents by the Inspector General, the Human Security Advisor, Ambassador of Switzerland, Pascal Huliga, the Executive Director, Clean Foundation, Kemi Okeyonde, and other official partners.
Tafie District, where over 9,000 units of houses will be built for Nigerian workers. FCT Minister Senator Bala Mohammed, during an inspection of the area, says the new mass housing district, measuring about 300 hectares, is part of a nationwide workers' housing scheme of the federal government, expected to generate 100,000 housing units for workers. Correspondent Mitaire Ipen has that report.
Tafie Mass Housing District, which is a partnership between the FCT administration, Nigerian Labour Congress NLC, Trade Union Congress TUC, and some private developers, is aimed at giving public and private sector workers who are contributing to the National Housing and Pension Funds the opportunity to have houses of their own. FCT Minister Senator Bala Muhammad says apart from the new mass housing district, another 350 hectares of land have been allocated in Lugbe, Abuja to other developers to build houses for workers, following a presidential directive.
Mr. President was futuristic. He said we should give them districts because he wanted to build 100,000 houses. The people who are the engine room of the country, to provide them a place where they can lay their heads.
From 5 to 12 million, and that's a major one for the workers.
NLC President Abdul Wahid Omar, who described the mass housing project as historic, used the occasion to assure workers in Abuja who subscribed to an earlier housing project which became controversial that their funds are intact.
Unfortunately, we also went into partnership with Christian Lally, and along the line, we encountered some difficulties. Those who now decide to take their refund, we are ready to give them.
In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Collaboration among health professionals for sustainable development and disease control took the central stage as public health practitioners converged on Abuja for the second scientific conference and annual general meeting. Rashidat Mustafa Lagojo reports that it is a platform for networking among practitioners on contemporary public health issues. Her report.
The Society for Public Health Practitioners act as a platform for multidisciplinary advancement of policies, research and interventions towards the attainment of highest level of health for all Nigerians using preventive, curative and rehabilitation approach. Speakers at the conference said, health is a fundamental human right that should be distributed equally.
Health issue is wide, apart from the things, because now the saying is that prevention is better than cure. So you don't say wait until you are sick. No, why don't you prevent it? Prevent it. Keep your environment clean.
Health is not achieved by hospitals. Health is achieved by every sector of society. Good food from agriculture, good vets from agriculture also, good education from Ministry of Education, good industry, so people can earn enough money to live by. If you are poor, you can't be healthy. If you are ignorant, you can't be healthy.
Presentation at the conference include how to fight hemorrhagic fever with special emphasis on Ebola, climate change, AIDS-free generation, sustainable strategies for complete eradication of polio in Nigeria, as well as universal health coverage for all. In Abuja, Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
It is your right to challenge anybody suspected to be involved in unwholesome activities around you. Be security conscious. This message is from the Directorate of State Security. We'd like to thank you for joining us on Panorama. Remember, Nationwide will be on at 4 and the network news at 9. Do have a very beautiful weekend.